The quantum burst transmission cut through the darkness of space like a desperate whisper. In the command center of Earth's Orbital Defense Station Alpha, Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the peculiar signal patterns dancing across her holographic display. After 15 years of scanning the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, humanity had received its first alien transmission, and it was a cry for help. "Director Matthews, you need to see this," Sarah called out, her fingers flying over the haptic interface as she worked to clean up the signal. The station's director, a veteran of Earth's space program, crossed the room in quick strides, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the holographics. The message, once decoded, was clear in its desperation. "To all spacefaring civilizations, this is High Commander Vex of the Varthan Alliance. Our worlds face extinction from an entity we call the Dark Wave. It consumes consciousness itself. Dozens of species have already fallen. We broadcast on all frequencies, begging for aid. The coordinates of our remaining stronghold follow." Within hours, Earth's major powers convened an emergency session of the United Earth Council. The chamber buzzed with tension as intelligence officers and military commanders debated the authenticity of the transmission. Sarah stood before them, presenting her analysis with unwavering conviction. "The quantum signature of this transmission is unlike anything we've ever seen," she explained, projecting a complex waveform above the council table. "But it's definitely artificial, and it carries markers of advanced technology far beyond our current capabilities. This is real, and they need our help." Admiral James Rodriguez, commander of Earth's combined fleet, leaned forward. "Dr. Chen, you're telling me that an advanced alien civilization is asking for our help? We've barely established colonies on Mars. What could we possibly offer them?" Sarah's response was immediate, something they might not expect: human ingenuity. "We've spent our entire history solving problems, adapting to challenges, thinking outside conventional boundaries. Maybe that's exactly what they need." The council chamber erupted in heated discussion. Some argued for caution, suggesting Earth should focus on its own defense against this unknown threat. Others pushed for immediate action, seeing an opportunity to prove humanity's worth among the stars. In the end, it was the impassioned speech of Council President Diana Wong that swayed the vote. "Throughout our history, humanity has faced countless challenges that seemed insurmountable. Each time, we've survived not just through strength or technology, but through our unique ability to innovate, to find solutions where others see only obstacles. If we turn our backs on this call for help, we deny everything that makes us human." The resolution passed with an overwhelming majority. Within days, Earth's first interstellar response fleet was assembled. The flagship, EMS Prometheus, carried not just weapons and supplies, but Earth's finest scientists, engineers, and problem solvers. Captain Michael Santos stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching as crews made final preparations for humanity's first faster-than-light jump. Besides him, Sarah Chen had been appointed as the mission's chief science officer, her expertise in quantum communications deemed crucial for the mission. "Are we really ready for this?" Sarah asked quietly, watching the stars through the ship's panoramic viewport. "We're about to meet our first aliens, and they're in the middle of fighting something we barely understand." Santos smiled, the kind of smile that had carried humanity through countless impossible situations. "Ready? Probably not. But when has that ever stopped us? We're human. We'll figure it out as we go. That's what we do best." The fleet's departure marked a historic moment. Millions watched from Earth as 5 ships, representing the combined hopes and determination of humanity, vanished into the quantum wake of their FTL drives. They carried with them not just the means to fight, but humanity's greatest weapons: curiosity, creativity, and an unwavering spirit of innovation. As the fleet accelerated towards its destination, none of its crew could have predicted how their intervention would reshape the galaxy's understanding of humanity. They were about to show the cosmos that sometimes the most powerful solutions come from the most unexpected sources. The Prometheus led the way into the unknown, carrying with it humanity's answer to a desperate plea. We hear you, we're coming, and we'll find a way to help, because that's what humans do. The human fleet emerged from quantum space into a graveyard of worlds. The Varthan home system's outer planets were eerily dark, their surfaces scarred with vast, geometric patterns that seemed to absorb light itself. Captain Santos ordered the fleet into defensive formation as they approached the coordinates provided in the distress signal. Multiple contacts, Lieutenant Emma Patil announced from her tactical station, reading thousands of ships in orbit around the third planet. But their energy signatures are erratic. It's like they're running on emergency power. Dr. Chen's quantum sensors painted an even more disturbing picture. The quantum field distortions are off the charts. Whatever this dark wave is, it's affecting the fabric of space-time itself. The Varthan defense fleet hung in orbit like wounded stars, their once mighty ships barely maintaining position. As the human fleet approached, a transmission cut through the static. Unknown vessels, this is Defense Coordinator Lix. Identify yourselves or be fired upon. The alien's voice carried both authority and exhaustion. Captain Santos straightened in his command chair. This is Captain Michael Santos of the Earth military ship Prometheus. We received your distress call. We're here to help. A long silence followed. When Lix spoke again, confusion colored their words. Earth? The primitive world from the spiral arm. Why would you? How could you possibly help us? Before Santos could respond, Sarah's sensors screamed a warning. Captain, massive quantum surge from the system's edge. Something's coming through. The view screen filled with writhing darkness as space itself seemed to tear open. The dark wave emerged like a storm of living shadow, its form defying conventional physics. Where it passed, reality itself appeared to unravel. All ships, battle stations. Santos commanded. Dr. Chen, what are we looking at? Sarah's fingers flew over her console, analyzing the impossible readings. It's like nothing we've ever seen. The entity seems to exist partially in quantum space, feeding on consciousness itself. The geometric patterns we saw on the outer planets, they're like bite marks in reality. The Varthan ships began to retreat, their movements sluggish. Human vessels, withdraw immediately. Lix transmitted. Our weapons have no effect. We've lost 3 systems already. Save yourselves. But Captain Santos had other ideas. During the journey, the human fleet had prepared for various scenarios, drawing on Earth's long history of asymmetric warfare and unconventional problem-solving. Dr. Chen, remember that quantum resonance theory you developed during our trip? Time to test it. Lieutenant Patel, execute Operation Starburst. All ships, pattern Delta. The human fleet split into a 5-point formation, each ship activating a specially modified quantum field generator. The devices, hastily designed during their journey, were based on Sarah's theoretical work on consciousness quantum field interactions. Generating quantum interference pattern, Sarah announced, her voice tense with concentration. If my calculations are correct, this should disrupt the dark wave's ability to maintain coherence in normal space. The effect was immediate and stunning. Where the human ship's quantum fields intersected, the dark wave's form began to fluctuate, parts of it seeming to phase in and out of reality. The entity recoiled, its attack faltering for the first time since it had appeared in Varthan space. It's working, Sarah exclaimed. The quantum interference is forcing it to partially materialize in normal space. Now it's vulnerable to conventional weapons. The Varthan ships, seeing the effect, began to rally. Lix's voice came through again, this time with a note of hope. Impossible. How did you? Never mind. All ships, concentrate fire on the materialized sections. For the next hour, the combined human Varthan fleet engaged in a complex dance of quantum physics and military strategy. The human ships maintained their interference pattern, while the more numerous Varthan vessels launched devastating attacks on the weakened entity. Finally, With a reality-bending shriek that rattled the hulls of every ship in the system, the dark wave retreated, disappearing back into the quantum realm from which it had emerged. In the aftermath, the bridge of the Prometheus was silent except for the hum of equipment and the heavy breathing of its crew. They had just accomplished what the most advanced civilizations in this sector of space have failed to do. They had driven back the dark wave. Defense Coordinator Lix's image appeared on the main screen, their alien features arranged in what might have been amazement. Captain Santos, Dr. Chen. How? Our best scientists have been studying the dark wave for years. How did you develop an effective counter-strategy in mere days? Sarah stepped forward, a tired smile on her face. Sometimes the best solutions come from fresh perspectives. We humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When we face impossible problems, we innovate. Santos nodded. But this isn't over, is it? The dark wave will return. Yes, Lix confirmed. It always returns, stronger and more adapted than before. But for the first time since this nightmare began, we have hope. Perhaps there is more to your species than we initially believed. As the human fleet took up defensive positions around the Varthan homeworld, Santos knew this was just the beginning. They had won their first battle against the dark wave, but the real war was just starting. Yet looking at his crew's determined faces, he felt a surge of pride. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage, not through overwhelming force or advanced technology, but through their unique ability to think differently and adapt quickly. The next phase would be even more challenging. They needed to find a permanent solution to the dark wave threat. But if anyone could find an unexpected way to defeat an impossible enemy, it would be humans. After all, that's what they did best. The Varthan Central Archives stretched deep beneath their capital city, a vast repository of knowledge, gathered over millennia of space exploration. Dr. Sarah Chen walked its crystalline corridors alongside Varthan scientist-architect Xin, their footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. In all our histories, Xin explained, their bioluminescent patterns shifting with emotion. We've never encountered anything like the dark wave. It appeared 3 cycles ago, consuming the Nexus cluster. By the time we understood it was targeting consciousness itself, we'd lost contact with 12 species. Sarah paused before a towering data crystal, its surface rippling with stored information. You said it adapts to every defense you create, but our quantum interference pattern worked, at least temporarily. Why? Xin's patterns pulsed thoughtfully, perhaps because it was unexpected. The dark wave seems to learn from each encounter. It's as if it absorbs not just consciousness, but knowledge itself. Something clicked in Sarah's mind. Show me the earliest recordings of the dark wave, not the tactical data. I want to see raw sensor readings, especially quantum signatures. Hours later, the research team had assembled in a vast holographic chamber. Captain Santos and Lieutenant Patel joined them, along with Defense Coordinator Lix and several Varthan scientists. Sarah stood before a 3-dimensional representation of the dark wave's first appearance. Look at these patterns, she said, highlighting specific quantum signatures. They're not random. There's a structure here, almost like a language, Emma Patel finished, stepping closer to the display. The archive, Xin whispered, their patterns shifting rapidly. Our quantum crystal matrix, it stores not just data, but the accumulated experiences and memories of our civilization, if we could modify it. To act as a consciousness bridge, Sarah finished excitedly. We could help the dark wave rebuild itself without consuming other species. Lix raised a hand. The risks would be enormous. If we fail, we could lose the archive, the sum total of our civilization's knowledge. Sometimes the greatest discoveries come from taking calculated risks, Santos said, his voice firm. The real question is, can we build what we need in time? The dark wave will return, and it will have adapted to our previous defense. Sarah looked around the chamber, at the faces of 2 species united in purpose. We'll need to combine human creativity with Varthan technology. It's never been done before, but that's exactly why it might work. Emma finished, a small smile playing on her lips. The Darkwave won't expect it because nothing like it has ever existed. Santos nodded decisively. Then let's get to work. Dr. Chen, coordinate with the Varthan scientists. Lieutenant Patel, I want you working on translating those quantum patterns. If this is a language, we need to speak it. I'll contact Earth for additional resources and expertise. The Varthan archive hummed with unprecedented energy as human and alien engineers worked to modify its ancient crystal matrix. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the central control node, her hands dancing over the hybridized interface they'd created by merging Earth's quantum computing technology with Varthan crystals. Power fluctuations are holding steady, Emma Puttel reported, her eyes fixed on the streaming data. The consciousness bridge is theoretically stable, but we've never attempted anything on this scale. The past week had been a blur of innovation and desperate collaboration. They had transformed the archive's lower levels into what Santos had dubbed the Crystal Cradle, a massive quantum consciousness receiver designed to help the Darkwave reconstruct itself. Long-range sensors detecting quantum distortions, Zin announced, their bioluminescence pulsing rapidly. The Darkwave approaches. It's different this time. The tactical display showed the truth of Zin's words. The Darkwave had evolved, its form more coherent than before. It moved with purpose, no longer the chaotic force they'd first encountered. It's learning, Sarah murmured. Every encounter teaches it more about structured existence. Our last battle showed it a path back to physical form. Captain Santos' voice came through the comm system. Fleet is in position. Dr. Chen, are we ready down there? Sarah looked at her team, humans and Varthans working side by side, each contributing their unique perspectives to this impossible task. As ready as we'll ever be. Remember, everyone, timing is crucial. We get one shot at this. The plan was audacious, combining human intuition with Varthan precision. The modified archive would act as a consciousness anchor, providing the Darkwave with a template for rebuilding itself. But first, they had to convince it to accept their help. Darkwave entering the system, Emma reported. Its pattern is, wait, it's not attacking. It's scanning us. The entity hung at the system's edge, its quantum tendrils probing delicately at reality. Sarah took a deep breath and activated the consciousness bridge's initial sequence. Broadcasting on the quantum frequencies we identified, she announced. Emma, are you ready with the translation matrix? Emma nodded, her fingers poised over her console. They had spent days decoding the Darkwave's quantum language, discovering that it communicated through patterns of consciousness itself. The message they sent was simple but profound, a structured pattern of thought and memory, showing the Darkwave what they had discovered about its true nature and offering a path to restoration. For long moments, nothing happened. Then the Darkwave's form began to shift, coalescing into a more defined shape. Patterns rippled through its structure that matched the archaeological records they'd discovered in the archive. Hints of the civilization it had once been. It's responding, Emma exclaimed. The patterns, they're like nothing we've seen before. It's not just receiving our message, it's remembering. The Darkwave moved closer, its presence causing quantum fluctuations throughout the system. But instead of the destructive chaos of its previous appearances, these distortions seemed almost purposeful. Now, Sarah commanded, activate the consciousness bridge. The crystal cradle hummed to life, its network of hybrid quantum processors reaching out to embrace the approaching entity. The archive's vast knowledge base began streaming through the bridge, providing the Darkwave with the building blocks it needed to reconstruct its consciousness. But something was wrong. The power readings began to spike dangerously. The bridge can't handle the load, Zin warned, their patterns flashing with alarm. The Darkwave's consciousness is too vast. It's overwhelming our systems. Sarah's mind raced. They couldn't fail now, not when they were so close. Then she remembered something from her quantum mechanics studies, a principle so basic it was often overlooked. Consciousness isn't just about processing power, she realized aloud. It's about connections. Emma, modify the translation matrix. Don't try to process the dark wave's entire consciousness at once. Show it how to rebuild itself one connection at a time. Emma's fingers flew over her console, implementing Sarah's insight. The consciousness bridge shifted its approach, no longer attempting to reconstruct the dark wave's entire civilization in one moment, but instead showing it how to grow, to learn, to rebuild itself organically. The effect was immediate. The power fluctuations stabilized as the dark wave began to pulse with new patterns, patterns that echoed with both its ancient nature and something entirely new. It's working, Emma breathed. The quantum signatures are stabilizing. It's not just copying our template, it's using it to remember how to exist. Hours passed as the process continued, the dark wave slowly transforming before their eyes. Its chaotic form crystallized into something both alien and beautiful, a structure of pure quantum consciousness that existed in harmony with normal space. Finally, the entity sent a message through their quantum link. The patterns were complex but clear: gratitude, understanding, and a profound relief at finally remembering what it meant to be whole. "Ask it," Santos said quietly through the comm. "Ask it what happened to them." The answer came in a stream of quantum data that Emma carefully translated. "They were researchers," she explained, her voice filled with wonder. "Their civilization achieved pure consciousness, freeing themselves from physical form. But something went wrong, a quantum cascade that shattered their collective consciousness. They've been trying to put themselves back together ever since, not realizing that their attempts to absorb other consciousness were destroying the very things they sought to understand." The transformed entity began to withdraw, not in retreat but with purpose. Its final message carried both promise and warning. It would help restore the worlds it had damaged, but more importantly, it would ensure no other civilization repeated its catastrophic mistake. As the dark wave disappeared into quantum space, no longer dark, but shimmering with restored purpose, the combined crews of humans and Varthans stood in awe of what they had accomplished. "I still can't believe it worked," Zin said, their patterns showing a mix of relief and amazement. "We spent years trying to fight it, never imagining we could heal it instead. Sometimes the best solutions come from seeing old problems in new ways," Sarah replied. "That's what humanity does best. We look at the impossible and think, maybe we just haven't found the right approach yet." Santos's voice carried a smile. "Well, Dr. Chen, I'd say this qualifies as one hell of a first contact situation. I can't wait to read your report to Earth Command." As the teams began the process of powering down the consciousness bridge, Sarah looked at the empty space where the dark wave had been. They had not only saved countless civilizations, but had also restored one that had been lost. It was a victory not through force of arms, but through understanding, innovation, and the uniquely human ability to empathize with even the most alien of minds. 3 months after the transformation of the dark wave, the Varthan capital city gleamed under its twin suns. Representatives from 24 spacefaring civilizations had gathered for an unprecedented event: humanity's formal introduction to the galactic community. Captain Santos stood in the Grand Assembly Chamber, flanked by Dr. Sarah Chen and Lieutenant Emma Pottle. Before them, beings of all forms and evolutionary paths filled the tiered seats, their attention fixed on the first humans many had ever seen. High Counselor Vex of the Varthan Alliance rose to address the gathering. "We stand at a turning point in galactic history. When we sent our distress call into the void, we expected aid from the established powers, the ancient races who have guided our development for millennia. Instead, help came from Earth, a world many considered too young, too volatile to join our community." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Sarah noticed several of the older races shifting uncomfortably in their seats. They had ignored the Varthan's plea, assuming the situation was hopeless. "The humans didn't just fight the dark wave," Vex continued. They understood it. Where we saw only destruction, they perceived a consciousness crying out for help. Their solution required not only technical innovation, but also empathy, the ability to see beyond surface appearances to the truth beneath. Defense Coordinator Lick stepped forward, their bioluminescent patterns radiating formal ceremony. The Varthan Alliance proposes full membership status for Earth in the Galactic Council, effective immediately. We also nominate humanity to lead the new initiative for consciousness studies and quantum development. The chamber erupted in discussion. A tall, crystalline being, representative of one of the eldest races, raised an appendage in objection. This is unprecedented. Earth has barely achieved faster than light travel. They lack the traditional requirements for full membership. Perhaps, Emma spoke up, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. It's time to reconsider those traditional requirements. The dark wave proved that technological advancement alone doesn't prevent catastrophe. Sometimes you need fresh perspectives, the ability to think differently about old problems. And that, Sarah added, is humanity's greatest strength. We don't just solve problems. We redefine them. We look at the impossible and ask, why not? Instead of accepting limitations. Captain Santos stepped forward. Earth doesn't come before you claiming superiority or demanding recognition. We come offering partnership. The dark wave incident showed us that the greatest achievements come through cooperation, through combining different ways of thinking and being. As if to emphasize his point, a shimmer of quantum energy materialized in the center of the chamber. The assembled representatives gasped as a familiar but transformed presence made itself known. The entity once known as the Dark Wave, now a symphony of structured consciousness. Its message, translated through the systems developed by the human Varthan team, resonated through the chamber. We stand as testimony to human potential. They did not destroy us when they could have. Instead, they helped us remember who we were, who we could be again. We support their inclusion in this council. The crystalline being lowered its appendage. One by one, other representatives indicated their assent. The motion passed with overwhelming support. As the formal ceremony concluded, Sarah found herself in the archive's garden terrace with Santos and Emma, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant hues. So, Emma mused, humanity's officially part of the galactic community. Think we're ready for it. Santos laughed. Ready? Probably not. But when has that ever stopped us? That's exactly why we'll succeed, Sarah said, watching ships from a dozen worlds cruise through the evening sky. We're not bound by traditional expectations. We'll make mistakes, learn from them, find new ways forward. That's what humans do. A message from Earth Command flashed on their communicators. The first wave of human scientists and diplomats would arrive within the week. The global response to news of alien contact had been overwhelmingly positive, marked by a surge of innovation and cooperation between nations. You know, Emma said thoughtfully, when we answered that distress call, we thought we were just trying to save one civilization. Instead, we might have changed the course of galactic history, and our own history, Santos added. Earth's already different. Knowing we're not alone, seeing what's possible when we work together, it's inspiring people. Old rivalries don't seem as important when you're looking at the bigger picture. Sarah nodded. The dark wave taught us something important too. Advanced technology isn't enough. You need wisdom to use it well. Understanding, empathy, creativity. These aren't just human traits, they're vital for any civilization's survival. As night fell, more stars became visible in the alien sky. Among them was a faint point of light that they knew was Sol, Earth's star, now no longer just humanity's anchor, but their starting point for a greater journey. What do you think we'll find out there? Emma asked, gazing at the stars. More mysteries, probably, Sarah replied with a smile. More impossible problems to solve. More chances to prove that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons, but our ability to think differently, to empathize, to find hope where others see only darkness. And we'll face it all the same way we always have, Santos concluded. Together, one challenge at a time, never backing down just because something seems impossible. The next morning, work would begin on the new Consciousness Studies facility. Teams from Earth would collaborate with alien scientists, exploring the frontiers of quantum consciousness that the dark wave incident had revealed. But for now, 3 humans stood in an alien garden, watching the stars come out, knowing that humanity had found its place in the cosmos not through conquest or superior technology, but through the very traits that some had considered their weaknesses: curiosity, creativity, and the unwavering belief that there's always another way forward. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity.